Okay, so some people like these types of videos, some people don't, but I'm going to be showing you guys a real quick rundown of a ranked game that we played. Um, Chat logs, pending regard or disregard. We do tend to get riled up when it comes to ranked, but let's go ahead and play it out. So we have red placing in the first position. It's already jumping a little too quick, and they decide to go with the 853. Primary reason for this is that if you look at this board, you essentially don't have a lot of great options for wheat. Being a given that wheat is the most important resource in a Catan game, you really want to prioritize building on wheat when you can. Assessing it from a first pick standpoint, I actually don't like it, and I think that this is not the correct first pick that you take. I do believe that the correct first pick on the board is the 6-4-11. People ask me, how do you place in first choice? Well, the answer is very simple. When you select your 3 hex, you are essentially almost always going to play a development card strategy based game. So you have to take the highest ore or highest wheat. Now, when we look at the board, what do we expect red to get on the way back? In that case, you could do something like 9-10 to 5-10 or 9-10 to 12-9. I don't know what they're expecting with 853 to be available on the way back. The other thing you can look at when it comes to first position, generally speaking, is if we're not going to be looking at ports and coast, which typically you are a lot of the times, you're going to be looking at what are the worst 3 hex spots left on the board. So that would look something like 942. In a lot of instances, you could argue 6-11-12, but I think that this board is a little bit too rich for that. So, yeah, again, I don't like this pick, but I understand it. We see that the next selection is going to be the 6-4-3 by Orange, and they opt to point the road up. Again, I think this is a mistake. You either need to commit to 6-4-11 outright, or if you want to do something funky like this, then it has to be, well, no, I can't even really defend it. There's no reason to take 6-4-3 here in second. This is just an objective blunder. The issue, there's a lot of issues with this. The first issue is somebody should take 6-11-12. And even if somebody doesn't take 6-11-12, you open a very realistic scenario where somebody can go 6-11 to 12-9. Ooh, my jaw needs to relax a little bit there. But yeah, so I don't agree with this pick at all. It's too much wood. Don't really know what they're expecting to get. Maybe something like 9-4-2 to 6-2 is the idea, and then you just go 4-11. But play on. We then see the 6-4-3 selection by black. We are now going fourth. Traditionally, I hear from a lot of people that fourth sucks. I don't like going fourth. I can't formulate a game plan. Traditionally speaking, I agree. But I'm able to do something a little funky that not everyone, I think, would agree with. So, first consideration, I like the 8-3-10. Gives me a free starting road that allows me to go to the 8-4. Problem is, I don't know what red is going to be left with on the way back. In a traditional sense, when I look at what's left on this table, I look at orange doing 9-4-2. I look at black doing 6-11-12, and then I'm like, what the heck does red do? So I decide to play a little bit funky, and I opt to go all brick and basically all wood. The idea is fairly simple. I expand to the 5-10 to double up on the wood. I go to the 2-1 here to accumulate as much wood as possible. Our difficult path then becomes the city. In a traditional sense, you city this because you have wood port flexibility, and then you score the 9-10 3-1 because that essentially gives you double 9, double 10, double 5, which is great. So black then opts to go 11-3-9. Again, this is, I think, a horrible play. Black needs to do 6-11-12 to get double ore, double wheat, double sheep. That's just standardized play when that is left available to you. And that is actually what I expected them to take. So I did not expect this to go by any other player. So when I left this open, my thought process was, okay, we have black go 6-11-12. They'll point the road right? They'll go for 9-12. Then, right after them, you have orange, and orange's sense in their mind is, oh, I could do 942 to 1139 or 1139. I mean, they're on a bunch of wood already, so in their scenario, they could even do 810 to 910 or 910 to 810, but I think 942 more often than not is the way that orange plays it. But as you can see, because black does this pick, it forces orange to kind of respond in a weird way. So orange goes 8-3-10, and then we have a doomsday scenario where we see red get left with the 6-11-12. And leaving the first position, the best or best wheat, is common spoke for fail, right? So I'm going to go ahead and skip through some turns. We can actually play them on probably 2 speed is fine. And then I can talk through. So we're going to get a bunch of early robs here, and the 6-11 is going to get contested. Oh, actually, 2 is a little quick. Let's just go to 1 speed, because then I can kind of narrate it on a turn by turn. So we get robbed a couple times. You're going to see me complain a lot in the chat. That is just my traditional style of playing the game. Table talking is obviously more ideal, but I try to point out what is very obvious to me as a player, is that red loves the fact that they're getting hit on the 5, because red doesn't give a shit about wood. They want ore, they want wheat, they want sheep. Their game plan is very simple, which is to pop devs, and take the settles where they can. So you'll see me get frustrated very shortly, very quickly, about the amount of blocks on the 5 and the amount of steals that we catch. Red is getting irritated about a solo block, but the issue, right, if we look at who is moving this robber, there is not a lot of good choices that the table has, and you'll see that when we have robber initiative, we hit the 6. I don't actually necessarily agree with my decision to repeatedly hit the 6, but when the game is close and even, I don't really have a fair spot per se. And I don't like using the word fair in a traditional sense, because 6 ore is more often than not our pin. I think not going for 942 here could be considered a mistake, but I look at my hand and realize that I'm getting very clumped, and I decide that I 7 out here, which really sucks, but I need to shut down the 910. And you'll see that we pick up a ton of cards in this game. We do catch quite a few robs, but our issue is going to be getting ore for cities. Anytime you take a wood brick based setup, your struggle is going to be getting down the city. So I don't like 942 for the basic sense that it doesn't really improve our hand's flexibility. The 910 gives us access to double 9s, double 10s, and the 3-1 port, which is more important because we have a ton of brick that we can't utilize outside of the 5 roll. So you'll see, like, occasionally the 6 throws, when we hit it, they keep hitting the 5, because when red doesn't have cards, I need to get robbed. And I'm, essentially complaining to orange here, like, why are we hitting the 5? They're like, oh, they don't have cards. So I'm like, then you need to hit the 3, or you need to hit the, when they have cards, they need to hit the 8. And then red's like, oh, but I'm being soloed, yada, yada, yada. And it's tough, because at this point of the game, like, after I get my 4th settle, I need to get my city desperately. If I don't get my city up here, our game kind of crumbles. And the reason I go for the 910 instead of the 5 wood settlement here on the port is because the 5 is getting pinned so often and orange has robber control. The wood port actually becomes less inherently valued, because the table doesn't recognize the value in hitting red on non-wood hexes. You'll get this a lot in ranked, where when you make a solo block on someone, they will lose their shit and go insane and throw the game on you. And so a lot of people will opt to do bad shared blocks instead. For example, watch how often black puts the robber on the 10 brick. In black's mind, they are trying to be fair. In my mind, we are looking at this table objectively. Orange is on 2 nights played. Nobody else has a single night played, by the way. And they drop 2 roads for longest roads. So orange is a contender for what is the terminology of double play here. And so as a result, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, black? You need to be hitting the 4 or the 8 while I hit the 6. I'm telling red they need to be popping, but instead red opts to go 6, 11, 12 city, which makes 0 sense. because at red stage of the game, it is not possible for them to win without army. I am now getting really pissed off in the chat because orange wins this, like this point of view 9 times out of 10. I'm trying to convince the table that 5 wood is a worthless block and that black needs to connect longest road or help me connect while red fights devs. And you'll see black repeatedly hit this fucking 10, which is really stupid. I'm trying to point this out in chat here. This clown keeps hitting the 10 instead of 8 or 4. Share blocks are not relevant when someone has 2 times my points. Yeah, and you'll see the 10 is rejected repeatedly. And so I'm getting very infuriated at black because from my POV, I'm essentially on 5 points. I can't get road anymore because when black drops 2 roads, my fight for road is essentially over. We have to give red time to get army, and black essentially cuts 942. Now, given 942 is good for their game, and they also probably have to play road, but they could also play army. So, kind of throwing some shade and disillusion in chat. Oh, I skipped to the end. Hold on. Spoiler alert. Pretend like you didn't see that. Okay, we need to skip to the part where we city. Here we go. So, at this point, orange is looking as 1 VP, drop a road to win. But what I found interesting was they dropped the road to the brick port as opposed to connecting the road to claim longest road. So that makes me think that they don't have a VP, and why would they have a road builder if they wasted the cards on it? So their dev card is more than likely a year of plenty. The idea is they're waiting to drop a settlement plus 1 road to win the game. As a result, we finally convinced the table with a lot of complaining to hit the 4 and the 8, which is 100% correct, by the way, because if you look at my position as blue, there is one way that I get back into this game. And for those that know Catan, how do you get back into the game? I'm complaining in chat. And we pull the 1-in-1 Monopoly card. That is, for those that are newer to the competitive scene, one of the very few ways that you can bounce back into a game. So orange is now on 9 with a confirmed non-knight. So, you know, we know it's bad. We roll incredibly well here, and we essentially are going for the road settle on the 5-2. Now, the idea of getting the 5-2 settle is I'm effectively out of the game unless I can sneak longest road. So we have 17 cards here, naturally 17 cards. If we want to look at the opposing player's hands, we have 7 wood on the board, 2 wood there, 4 wood there, 2 wood there. Essentially, you know, if we want to look at this, this is 2 wood, 4 wood, 6, 7, 8. So that's 8 wood. We already have road, so we have 5 roads in hand, right? So that would drop us down to 4 sheep, 1 wheat. What is this? 4, that'd be 2 wood, and then that would be 2, 4, 8, 10 wood. So that'd be 10 wood. So essentially here, our move would be to take longest road. And I believe we can make a city with mono wood also. So instead, we, of course, with our luck, roll a 7. And we have to discard half our hand. And that forces us to essentially settle, drop 2 roads, and pass. That really sucks that we 7'd. But essentially now, the only way that we can play the game is a road sneak and using the mono to city. So in a general sense there, if we don't roll the 7, we claim longest road. Or another fun thing that you can do is just city naturally, drop a settlement, and hold, right? You actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it's confirmed win because... No, I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. You don't even need to win with road there. If I don't 7 out in mono wood, I can city, settle, road, settle. So that's I don't know why I'm tripping, right? Because that's what, 4, 5 settles on the board. I get another city, so that's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, no, no, no. I still need another point. I'm tripping. It's late. I apologize. So, anyway, after I see the 7 out, it sucks, but, you know, we're essentially gassed out. I'm pissed. I'm asking why the fuck I'm being robbed on 4 here when black can just extend road and then I have no way to win. So I'm complaining to black. Black actually agrees. Of course, I have to try to divert because the only win potential I have here is mono. And so black sees that I have longest road and they just don't extend. And I take longest. I look at the bank. I mono wood and I have just enough cards to city. So mono there was essentially my only way back in the game. We overrolled 5s, which obviously helped our setup a considerable amount. But I do want to go back to that turn because, like, I'm not really good at calculating monos in the moment like that for like a perfect win in hand. Now, here we obviously don't want to roll a 7 because that makes us throw out cards. But any other roll, like let's assume we hit any of our numbers. Any of our numbers is probably an outright win one way or another. Our mono is always going to be on wood because assuming that we don't roll a 7, that's 2, 6, 7, 8. So that's 8 wood on the board, which is essentially 4 ore for us. So that's another way to think about it, is if we have 4 ore in our hand, that's what, 4 ore, you turn 2 of these into a wheat. That's city. I'm honestly not going to try to calculate it because my brain is wired after this party, but it's very close, if not outright win, to double city plus settlement if we mono the wood there. Or honestly, monoing wheat. Monoing wheat's probably not better because we need to get cities, but yeah, it's always mono wood, assuming we don't roll a 7. If something crazy happens, literally any of our numbers, I believe, is a guaranteed win, plus the monopoly with double city settle. Like you hit a, like there's not enough wood in the bank, but let's say you hit a 5, let's say you hit a 9, let's say you hit a 10, let's say you hit a 4. So it's like 5, 9, 10, 4. I don't think 11 does anything because there's not enough wood left. But any of those numbers are essentially guaranteed win in hand, and we tossed it, so sucks, but it happens. Just wanted to show you guys a quick overview of a fun game that I played. I know a lot of you guys prefer the live reaction live games, but I'm not somebody that likes to only upload games that I win, but I am somebody that only likes to upload games that are close because I don't like curb stomping games. I think those are not fun for playing or for viewing. Like if you look at the final score for this game, this is relatively close. This is what your average Catan game will look like. Most games that I lose on well below average points, blowout situations. In other traditional senses, like if I win in a blowout, I don't really like that. And if I lose in a blowout, obviously I don't like that either. But let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you enjoyed this brief kind of overview, quick fun game, and check you guys out next time. See you later.